This program is scheduled for one fall.
Glorious. No, I won't give in.
It's true.
Oh,
it's true.
I will defend.
Hello. You're listening, ladies and sirs, to this programme is scheduled for one fall. This week, sponsored by the General's Barbecue Sauce. Just lick it off. So this programme is scheduled for one fall. My name is SilentMark. I'm your MC for this evening. And let me introduce my challengers for this evening, shall we say? Introducing first. Journalist, Beyond Radio's very own resident, author of Holy Grail, and Mr. July in Preparation H's 2014 calendar, it's Greg the Truth Lambert.
And soon to go down in history as the greatest wrestling manager ever to come from these shores, when my man, the show stealer Nathan Cruz, ends the stick streak at the Winter Gardens in Morecambe in 9 days' time.
I'm afraid I only write facts. How's it going?
It's been a great week. Been spending a lot of time in Nathan Cruz's company. He's finished his very busy summer season touring the UK wrestling rings, sometimes wrestling twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. That summer season's over now. He's just resting. He's getting his mind and his body prepared and ready for September the 17th. Golden chance. Alpha Omega Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. He's going to take that 8.5-year undefeated streak of sticks down. Break the streak, steal the show.
Thanks for that. Do you really
Is that
think
all
that,
you can say?
Well, I can't really say much else. Do you really think that'll happen?
Of course I do.
In the grand scheme of things.
I wouldn't be, putting my money where my mouth is, bringing this guy in if I didn't.
Or, and I know I'm not here yet, or he won't.
I'd say or he won't.
Yeah, but you're not here yet, so your comment does not count.
Okay, then with that in mind, introducing his opponent. Human, co-creator of Another Monday Evening Show, Alpha Omega Wrestling interviewer, and what people call in wrestling circles the human blancmange, it's Eva Lewis. You right, mate?
What the hell are you laughing at, Mr. Burns?
I don't even like
Honestly.
blancmange. I much prefer Instant Whip.
What about Angel
We've heard.
Delight?
Well, I didn't want to say that because that's a brand name.
Okay, other instant milk-based puddings are available.
Very true, very true. How's it going, Lou?
It's going pretty well, thank you, yeah.
Happy?
Happy?
Yeah?
Not really, no. I'm on the receiving end of insults. So the show's barely even kicked off.
Right,
From you, the wrestling talk show host who doesn't know anything about wrestling.
Yeah.
And this guy who looks like Bobby Heenan does now. Look it up if you're not sure what I mean.
Almost
it's a sad
compliment.
sight. It's
almost a compliment.
No, I don't mean Bobby Heenan in his prime, Greg. I really don't, honestly. So no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm all right.
Good. You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I've been watching all of the wrestling.
All of the
With
wrestling.
varying degrees of success.
Yeah. I've actually watched a bit of Progress Wrestling this week. Really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Have you ever seen any?
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been to a show. What bit did you see?
I saw.
Was it the bit with all the swearing?
It was there was all the swearing, but I saw their
all of it, basically.
match. I think it was called "Writing Nirvana on Other People's Bags." It's one of their newer pay-per-views.
Yeah, they do give their shows rather obscure titles, don't they?
Stupid.
Yes.
no.
Which is I like it.
A British wrestling company based in London.
Based in
Progress
London,
Wrestling,
do
yeah.
shows up at Manchester as well.
Yeah.
Headed by Jim Smallman, stand-up comedian and podcaster. Now he does a podcast as
Serial
well.
professional Leicester City fan.
Very, very much so. Very nice man as well.
He's a good guy, is Jim. Although the first time I met him, I got his name wrong, called him Joe, and I don't know whether he's ever forgiven me for that.
Probably not.
You should continue to get his name wrong on purpose on subsequent meetings.
Well, no, because
Tim,
we
John.
we found out from the last 2 weeks that you don't like getting your name wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
Okay, fair enough.
Clearly someone thinks it's funny to get my name wrong on purpose, so you know.
I genuinely don't think he was doing it on purpose, dude.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all.
All right, fair enough.
We even heard from that person on Monday, so
We did hear from that person.
we'll come to that late.
But to be fair, he still thought your name was Larry.
Yeah, whatever.
So
it was,
at least
it was Louis the first week, wasn't
it was Louis the first week, and then it was Larry. But again, it was Larry again, so it was like he genuinely thinks his name's Larry, I
I
think.
hope he doesn't get in touch again. And if he does, what am I going to be that to, like Leroy or something?
Maybe. So the week in wrestling, sirs, how's it been?
It's not been a bad week in wrestling. There's been some really good bits and some that I've just found it so hard to care about this week. Now, I don't know if that's because of the mood I'm in or just because it's been relatively poor.
I'll be honest, I watched...
in places.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the big two, and I had trouble caring about most of it.
Big two, what are we talking about here?
Raw and SmackDown.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I watched both of those, and I found it just a slog.
Yeah.
Rather than last week, where I actually found it quite entertaining.
It's not what wrestling's meant to be, is it? I mean, if you're into your wrestling, you want to actually sit down there and feel like the 3 hours, if it's Monday Night Raw, has flown by. But,
which last week I did feel it did. I was actually engaged with the matches. I was engaged with the show itself. Whereas this week it kind of seemed more like a just elongated episode of Emmerdale.
Monday's a harder sell because it's 3 hours. You've got to try and fill 3 hours with wrestling content and keep it interesting for the viewers. Plus, it's kind of it's I guess it's a go home week for the pay per view. Yeah. Although again, that only really applies to SmackDown because now we've got brand specific pay per views. So we've got Backlash coming up on Sunday, which is a SmackDown pay per view,
but you could tell that in SmackDown this week.
Yeah.
You could massively tell that in SmackDown
because
this week
everything they did was, which as you'd expect, was to promote and raise interest for the pay per view on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah,
but
there weren't actually any proper matches. It was just all preamble for the pay per view.
I don't know. I found, to be honest with you as well, I found SmackDown lately has been arguably better than Raw since the brand split and since they went live. But this week, not so much.
No,
not at all, in fact. Last week we had what I like to call At Home with the Slaters. That was possibly one of my highlights of the week in wrestling. This week, no, there was nothing really memorable.
Well, they didn't put the best segment on SmackDown, which was actually on WWE.com, but I'll talk about that
in a bit.
Later
on.
I keep on hearing that name.
Later on.
I keep on hearing that name.
I like a good pun, but that wasn't one of them.
Very true.
But I mean, like the tag team scene currently, we've got, we've got the New Day, who still WWE World Tag Team Champions. Yeah. There you go. He's gyrating his hips and everything.
I was.
As you should.
I was. And you could even see that if you go to YouTube. Go to Beyond, search for Beyond Radio Test.
We're on YouTube tonight.
We're on YouTube tonight. You can see us.
First time ever.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'll wave at you. There'll be a delay of about 2 minutes, but you'll see me wave.
You see us waving about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you gyrated your hips in the correct way there. Shame on you, Greg Lambert, for not doing. Why wouldn't you?
I was just giving the people at home a sneer.
Why would you give them a sneer?
A dismissive sneer.
I'll be honest with you. They can't see you. I don't think.
Can we not? I thought you just said we were on YouTube.
No, me and Lou are. I don't think...
What, you mean they've not positioned the camera on me?
No. We can see the back of your head.
They've deliberately... You can see the back of my head?
Yeah.
That's his best feature.
But I'm clearly the most handsome of the three of us. Why would you deny the viewing public the opportunity to gaze upon this wondrous visage?
Well, hang on a second. Turn around now and Chris will stick you on.
He'll do what, sorry?
I always thought it was the violent type.
What's he going to do?
There you go. That's the... you can see now. It's fascinating for everyone outside.
It's just...
Just
making great radio.
Two bald guys in a Yeti and a turtle T-shirt.
It's good. It's good.
Anyway, tag teams.
Tag teams, yes.
Talking of two bald guys.
Yes.
Gallows and Anderson challenging the New Day, as I mentioned, for the WWE World Tag Team Championships.
It was a terrible segment, Lewis.
It was an awful segment.
The old day.
Terrible segment. And what has happened to the New Day? The New Day, the WWE Tag Team Champions, as you seem determined to keep on saying in an elongated fashion.
That's how you say it.
I know, but you're
That's
not.
how you say it, Greg.
You're not a member. You're not a superstar.
I've got the T-shirt. I might as well be a member.
Don't be. You're what we call a fanboy, Lewis. That's what we call you. You know,
I'm 36. How can I be a fanboy? I'm a
fan
fan middle-aged man, if anything. Come on.
The kind of person who lives vicariously through stars like myself. But you know, the New Day. I think the act peaked the minute They came out of the giant Bootios box in front of 100,000 people.
Oh, what an amazing moment!
I thought
at
that
WrestleMania.
That was so good
in Dallas, and I think that it's just gone downhill for me. That the material isn't funny anymore. They did this thing. I mean, okay, it was Gallows, and it was Gallows humor basically. In other words, it wasn't very funny. Every time Gallows and Anderson do anything comedic, it's just not right for their character, which are two tough guys. They shouldn't be being funny. And then when the New Day came out, they just didn't play off it for me. It's just not working. What has happened? They were unique. They had spark. They had enthusiasm, and they were funny. But they're not anymore. I think they should split them up and put them back together in 2 years, like they did.
You've
with
got to be out of your, you're out of
Dudleys
your mind.
and the DX. Freshen up. It needs freshening up. Let's cut it now.
They've got their
while
own
we
breakfast
still
cereal, for God's sake.
remember
How
them
can you get
fondly.
fresher than that?
Well, so is Tony the Tiger, and where's he these days?
He's great. That's how he is these days. Thanks for asking. But
Well, what about
where's
the little human Weetabix people then that used to be in the 80s
That's
on
true,
TV?
actually,
You don't
yeah.
see them
No,
anymore.
you don't see them.
What?
You don't,
I
do you?
remember them.
No, how can you remember
I
them
like
when I'm
the-
older than you?
I like
They
the
were
one with the
all-
glasses.
Human Weetabix people.
They were all kind of like in the skinhead mod type thing, weren't they?
Oh, a
They were-
little bit, yeah.
They're very much in the skinhead scar type ilk.
Weetabix. If
you guys
know
on
what's
drugs
good
right
for
now?
You. It was great. They're their own song,
I remember that.
like the New Day.
Yeah. But I kind of agree with both of you on some bits. I do agree that it should be something new with the New Day, but I don't think they should break up because they are amazing.
You can't get any newer than the New Day.
Very true. But no, I think
They've got the word new in their title, in the name of their tag team. How can you get newer than that? Where's your power of positivity, the pair of you?
No, I genuinely think
honestly.
they're good. I genuinely think they're good, but I think it sounds awful, but they need to be knocked down just for a second.
I want to see Xavier Woods start his own brass band and play in Happy Mountain Park on Sundays in summer.
What?
Why would he come play in Happy
Why would he
Mountain
do
Park?
that? That would be quite a fall from grace to go from
Then
being
he can go back to WWE later. That's what I'd like
after
to see.
taking a sabbatical, playing in a
Playing
brass band
in Happy Mountain
Park
in Morecambe.
in Morecambe.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Okay, fair enough.
You mentioned tag
Is
teams.
it time for his medication, Mark?
I think it might be.
You mentioned tag teams and the Usos, the Uso brothers, the sons of Rikishi.
The Busos, you mean?
Well, they're now being booed, aren't they? Because they're now baddies.
Now they're being booed.
They attacked American Alpha.
They've been booed.
They injured Chad Gable. He's now unready, unwilling, and unable to actually take part in the tag team championship final. Which, what does that mean? What is that going to mean at a Backlash?
He's
on
unwilling,
Sunday?
unready, and he's ungable. I think you'll find.
Well, whatever. But he's sadly American Alpha, one of my favourite teams. Love them. Very talented boys. Great amateur wrestling background.
Yeah.
Came from NXT. Remind me very much of the Steiner brothers when they first burst on the scene as young men in the early 90s, late 80s.
Or two Kurt Angles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll give you that.
But I've
And
got to
you
agree
two
with
just
you.
Agreed.
They
No.
beat the Usos in about a minute on SmackDown.
30 seconds.
Less
30
than a minute.
seconds.
And then the Usos
Sour grapes for the Usos.
sour grapes, and
yeah.
after I think they're one of these teams that have been around forever, and it doesn't really feel that way because they've not really done anything very exciting.
As much as they talked about how they run the tag team division, and they have
Well,
done for.
They haven't really. Well, I guess
No.
they have. That's the two-time tag team champions. I have no idea.
Possibly.
It just doesn't seem
Definitely
that
former
exciting.
tag team champions.
It's certainly not like the old days when you had the Hart Foundation, the Rockers and Demolition, and Powers of Pain, and over in WCW you had the Midnight Express and the Rockamore Express and the Steiners and Doom and the Road Warriors. That was the golden age of tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got the Usos, and they've been around 6-7 years. I can barely remember what they've done. So they needed freshening up in a similar way to the New Day. It's a good move to make the Usos into baddies. I think that was a good move.
Well, I mean, I've got to agree with you about American Alpha because they are a fantastic tag team. That's why I handpicked them for my fantasy wrestling squad, the Forces of Evil, which is why I think it's disgraceful what the Busos did, injuring Chad Gable, because now, although they won that match, and I'm going to get points for that, they're not going to go on to win the tag team titles, the SmackDown tag team titles, at Backlash on Sunday.
But does that mean that Slater and Rhino automatically become the SmackDown Tag Team Champions? Because they're through to the final as well. They beat the Hype Bros.
Basically,
Bros?
the
Hype Bros.
That's a 80s band.
Yeah, I thought
The Hype Bros and the Busos are going to have another match at Backlash. the winner of which then goes on to face Slater and Rhino at Backlash.
Well, that's hardly fair.
I know.
So the Usos
So
got eliminated.
the two teams that got eliminated then
Are back in it.
It's
like a repechage.
What?
It's like the plate in squash tournaments. They used to have, when you get knocked out, you used to go into the... If you were no longer in the main draw...
Lou, he's of a certain age, he now plays squash.
You go into a plate.
This program's scheduled for one fall, not this program's scheduled for talking about squash and that.
I'm just going by points of reference. I tell you who I want to see. I want to see the Revival on Raw and SmackDown. Now, there's a team. Great throwback team. Scott Dawson, my good friend... good friends of my man Nation, Nathan Cruz. Dash Wilder, really close personal friend with the show stealer Nathan Cruz. They are absolutely killing it over on NXT. They are just Scott Dawson in particular. Can't say enough about him. They've added speaking skills to their great technical and double team skills, and they are dominating the tag team division on NXT.
They also love a good fist, according to their t-shirts. But no, I mean, they're a dominant tag team. Okay, I can't argue with that. They are a dominant tag team. Their methods kind of questionable. They're not
a bit like some of the things you say, Lewis.
No, everything's.
I think they're all normal.
Everything's above board with what I say. But,
their catchphrase is no fists. No flips, just fists.
There you go. They love
You've
fists.
got me getting it wrong
they
now.
They love a good fist.
Yeah, punching people.
Yeah, it's quite
same thing.
Debatable. But I don't know. Yeah. Also, their entrance music is really quite homoerotic, which is, considering they come out wearing t-shirts with...
We go hard
all day, all night.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I'll move on with some music. We'll come back in a second. After all that. Go on then, Greg.
And I have to say, I really like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano as well. Although I don't like the name DIY because wallpapering brings me out in a rash.
I'm holding paint trays.
Yeah. And flat pack furniture.
Ah.
Not for me, thank you.
See, I like flat pack furniture. I like to think of it as adult Lego.
I don't mind a small flat pack, but a big one.
Oh, no, I love a big flat pack.
Do you?
Oh, big bookshelf. Oh, it's amazing.
Okay, you're getting a bit excited there, aren't you?
I love a flat pack.
A little bit too excited, I think.
I love a flat pack.
But talking of the Revival and you saying you want them to move to the main roster, okay, this brings me on to another thing. If that happens, what? There's no tag teams in NXT.
Oh, God, it would just be TM61 with a silly name on their own.
And the Authors of Pain. And nobody else.
There is a
and that's not a tag team division. They barely have a tag team division as it is, which kind of makes a mockery of the fact that they've got tag team titles. Because you can't have champions defending against nobody. Same with the women's division. They've got Asuka, the women's champion. You've got no women's division. Sure, they've got plenty of new, women wrestlers in NXT, but they're all so interchangeable and bland and forgettable. Apart from Ember Moon, who she's being groomed. You're right. Asuka did the interview on NXT this week, the NXT Women's Champion, and she basically got asked, "Is there anyone in the NXT Women's division who's ready to face you?" And she went, "No." And I thought, well, that's right. Yeah,
there isn't anyone. Why are you drawing attention to it? But you're right, NXT's kind of becoming a victim of its own success. You've got people like Bayley, American Alpha that we mentioned earlier, Charlotte and Sasha Banks before them, who have all moved up to the main roster, WWE Raw and SmackDown.
Yep.
And there's a lot of good main event guys left behind. Your Austin Aries, your Bobby Roodes, Samoa Joes, people like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then beneath that, there's one or two maybe. No, my man No Way Jose, I rate him very highly. But then you got Andrade Cien Almas.
I can't warm to him.
Great, can't really warm to him.
If he'd kept a lucha mask on as he did in,
he's having to win matches now when he wasn't really doing anything before. You've even got Liv Morgan's in the opening titles. That's how desperate they are to try and put some star power into the opening of NXT. They're struggling at the moment. They need to develop some new mid-level, I would say, talent in NXT and quickly.
Yeah. Again, that's, as much as I hate to agree with you, I do agree with that. Like you say, the main event scene on NXT looking pretty healthy, but beyond that, what do you have? Again, you've got a women's champion
you have
with
no
Steve
credible Cutler. Steve, you know what?
He's getting a push because Marines.
Well, but he's awful. I mean,
of course he is.
I'm sorry.
He was being jobbed out a couple of months ago, and now he's got his own entrance music. He's got his own Titantron. He's doing backstage interviews, and his main event in NXT against Shinsuke Nakamura. He's getting his butt kicked, rightfully so. But
He even made Shinsuke Nakamura look good. That's how bad Steve Cutler is. Sorry, Steve. No, look, I know you did a lot fighting for your country, and that's great. I like your Lash LaRue sideburns. You looked the part, but sorry, dated WCW reference there. But you just did the cardinal sin, didn't you? Which I said last week. If you were tuning into this show, if you were tuning into TPISFOF last week, this program is scheduled for one fall. That's an acronym. It's not me being rude. You would have heard me put into room 619 people who do promos, and then when they finish them, they walk off screen. You did that this week to promote your match with Shinsuke Nakamura. And what is more, you gave the most generic catchphrase. Is this going to be your catchphrase? You may not like me, you may even hate me, but you will sure respect me. Now, hang on, haven't people been saying that catchphrase?
Hang on, wasn't that pretty much what Roman
Since the
Reigns
dawn
said?
of time.
Just not as eloquently.
Pretty much. Come up with something original, Steve. Come on. Prove
need
yourself to me.
He doesn't need to because Marines.
Because he's a Marine.
That's it. That overrides the need for character.
Wasn't John Cena a Marine?
I think he played a Marine in various movies.
In a film called The Marine.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew there was something.
I couldn't remember what it was called there for a minute. Thanks for
See,
that.
I do know wrestling.
He does. Yeah. Well, you know movies. You get in there. You get in there.
Thanks.
While we're talking about Cena, didn't you want to mention Dean Ambrose?
God,
who's also on SmackDown, which is the link to Cena.
Bloody Dean Ambrose, honestly.
You don't like Dean Ambrose?
No. What's there to like, okay?
Well, go on, because he is the WWE champion. He's the main man.
He's
the
boring.
man who holds the big championship belt on SmackDown. He's defending that title against AJ Styles on pay-per-view this Sunday against Backlash.
AJ Styles, who's been on great form lately after since he beat John Cena.
Yes. What don't you like about Dean?
He had some testicular distress last week on SmackDown.
Oh, you didn't like that, did you? When Dean Ambrose sort of manoeuvred his testicles onto the top rope.
How long did AJ Styles spend there, bouncing around, supported entirely on his man parts on the top rope?
You'd have moved, wouldn't you?
Grimacing and wailing like he was trying to outdo the Big Show's famous crotching incident from a couple of years ago.
So you weren't impressed with Dean Ambrose's role in said crotching?
I'm not impressed with Dean Ambrose's role in anything.
So what is? Come on, explain. What
Where-
don't you like?
Where
about
can I start? Right. Firstly, what is a lunatic fringe?
Well, it's because he's got a fringe.
He's got more of. It's more like a comb over.
And he's a bit
He's
of a
kind
lunatic.
of balding. He should be the balding. He should be the lunatic comb over, not the lunatic fringe. He's not a lunatic. Repeatedly telling us someone's a lunatic doesn't make them crazy. Oh, he's crazy. He's so crazy. You never know what he's going to do. He's not crazy. He comes out. He cuts fairly generic but sort of slightly random promos. Oh, I'm going to say some random stuff that's a little bit weird, and then have a boring wrestling match that equals lunatic. If he came out in like a straitjacket with a handler and had to be kind of unleashed and maybe sedated at the end of his match, that's a lunatic. Not a guy who just says a few things that are a little bit wacky and looks like he's
I'll be honest, if he was a
like
proper lunatic, there'd be smearing involved and stuff like that, surely.
Exact.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well-
You're on board with me, Mark. Thank you. He just looks like he's been sleeping rough in a gutter. And that thing he does through the second ropes, come on. Every time I see it, my actual reaction is, because it's horrible.
You mean the Terry Funk clothesline?
I don't know.
The clothesline that was popularised by the legendary former NWA World Champion, former ECW World Champion, former WWE Tag Team Champion, the middle-aged and crazy owner of the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo. Is it Double Cross Ranch? I don't know. It's a ranch in Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
It is the Double Cross Ranch, actually. Yes, Terry Funk, who I've worked with on a couple of occasions, who is one of the all-time greats, and Dean Ambrose.
He's a legend, sure.
Has basically, not copied that move, but brought it into 21st century living rooms.
I mean, Nigel
You're going
McGuinness.
to disrespect Terry Funk by saying how much you dislike that move.
Nigel McGuinness used to do it in Ring of
I'll
Honor
introduce
as well.
you to Terry Funk if you want.
Go for it.
I'll
What,
introduce
is he
you-
here now, is he?
I think he still has that branding iron.
What?
You don't know your wrestling history, do you?
I'm not 74, Greg. Come on.
Terry Funk is, I think, give or take.
It probably is, yeah, but no, I hate
You don't remember
it.
Chainsaw Charlie then? That was Terry Funk.
Yeah, no, I vaguely. Well, I've seen it since. I
A
don't
man
remember
who
it at the
used
time.
to be on television, on wrestling television, wielding a chainsaw.
Yeah, hence the name.
Yeah.
Kind of gives it away.
Now
little bit.
he is a lunatic.
Sure.
You're disrespecting him. He may be
Dean Ambrose.
He may be listening to the show from the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas.
Dean Ambrose, not a lunatic.
Do you know the way to Amarillo?
I've got a new name for him.
Go on.
The vaguely eccentric fringe. How would that be? Mildly eccentric fringe?
It's also
a bit odd fringe.
I have a problem in general with the stupid little nicknames that WWE give to their wrestlers. And sometimes they've got like 2 or 3 different nicknames per wrestler.
That's true.
Randy Orton, the Apex Predator. What's an Apex Predator? An Apex, right, is the midpoint of a corner, like in motor racing terms. So does he hang out in the middle of corners, waiting to, like, you know, predate on people? What is that? What does that even mean?
Only if there's a butch on the bush on said Apex.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least if he's on a corner, he's hitting his RKO out of somewhere.
Yeah, true. But what even is that?
It's out of nowhere.
The Apex Predator, the lunatic fringe.
The Truth. What kind of a name is The Truth?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
The foremost authority in professional wrestling today as well. I used to be known as that. I've had multiple nicknames as well.
But for personalities or?
No nicknames.
Okay. My mistake.
Can't
sorry.
broadcast most of them
Sorry.
now, I bet.
True.
I wouldn't like to repeat most of those on air.
Can I just say what a great show TNA Impact. The TNA Impact was the best wrestling show on television this week.
Should we do that in a bit?
By a mile.
The reason being,
It's almost half past
it's
9.
28 minutes past.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time is
Are
flying.
we going to do the fantasy wrestling report then?
I think we should do some fantasy wrestling. I'm going to play this first.
I had a premonition.
It's fantasy wrestling, everybody.
Did Matt Hardy have a premonition
He
that
did.
fantasy wrestling was going to happen at
He
about
did.
9:30?
I had a premonition.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Matt Hardy.
Yeah. So,
Play the jingle.
right, which jingle is it this week?
Fantasy macho.
Right, hang on.
Oh, God.
Okay, here we go.
Save us, please. Save us, somebody.
Can someone just do us a proper one so we'd have to listen to these every week?
That'd be nice.
Right, this one.
Go on.
Dun 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 dun. Fantasy Wrestling Report. Fantasy Wrestling Report.
How about that?
Well,
Last week we had Hulk. This week we have Macho. Ooh,
What-
yeah.
what was that,
Dig
Lee?
it. Can you do a Randy Savage impersonation? Everybody, anyone who's a wrestling
What was that
fanboy,
meant-
Lewis,
what was
should
that
be able
meant
to
to
do
be?
a Randy Savage impersonation. That was Randy Savage's theme tune. Only Fantasy Wrestling Report sung to it.
really?
Yeah, obviously.
It sounded like a cat in distress.
Pomp and circumstance,
It
as they call it in
it sounded
America.
like a cat in distress.
No, you're wrong,
with
Mark.
with another cat just
Mark,
doing it out of
I
sympathy.
have to object there. You're wrong.
Okay, go on.
It sounded like 2 cats in distress. Get it right.
Well, no, that's why I said a cat in distress and then a cat just doing it out of sympathy.
No, they're both clearly very distressed.
Can I crack
I
on
thought
with
you knew
this,
your cats,
please?
Mark.
Sorry.
Have you got any background music while I do my fantasy
you even
wrestling
cats,
report?
bro?
What do you want?
Anything. Wrestling orientated.
Probably.
Just play a wrestling theme,
Something.
Mark.
Turn it up! No,
That'll
turn
do.
it up. There we go.
That'll do. That's good. That makes me feel like I'm doing a proper. I'm like in the events centre, like Sean Mooney.
All right.
Against the green screen.
Go on.
Anyway, Fantasy Wrestling Week 3, and what a week it was. What a week it was for the Shining Wizards. Shaheen, if you're listening, you are absolutely killing this fantasy league, my friend. 10 extra points this week, 32 points in total, extending your league lead at the top of the Fantasy Wrestling League. The only Fantasy Wrestling League anywhere on radio in the known world. And the reason why you're top is because your wrestlers keep scoring points, consistently scoring points.
That was all fascinating,
Really?
wasn't it? Yeah.
Is that why? Is that how it works, is it?
Yes, indeed.
I'd never have guessed.
In football, does one team win if they score more goals than the other one?
Yes. Yes.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
How sport works.
I could never get my head round football, and
Me
now
neither.
it's all so clear.
I know.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Lambert.
Oh. So more points is good, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
What about less points?
In second place, never mind about the technical side of it, but in second place, I hate to say it, Mark, you are in second, silent but deadly. Yeah! And you are leading the forces of Evil Lewis's team into third. But it was a very good week indeed, for the second highest climber, Team Total Divas. We had him on the show last week, the Chief of Staff from Alpha Omega Wrestling, Charles Nelson Riley, his all-female strategy, finally paying off, thanks to Maria Kanellis-Bennett, scoring a massive, clean, grueling, hard-fought victory in her Knockouts Championship match against Ali.
Highly questionable.
Wasn't that a grueling match? It went on for half an hour. There was near falls aplenty. There was 5-star moves. There was Tope con Heroes. There was Toupe con Heroes.
Helos. Yeah.
Heroes, heroines, helos, whatever they were.
Always
they were
with the
all in
drugs,
that
Greg
match.
Lambert.
Yeah, it is,
It
yeah.
was amazing. It was an amazing match. So great week. And also, I tell you what, the underdogs who are bottom still, Evan Thompson, our youngest fantasy league manager, even he's picked up some points this week for the underdogs.
Still last though, right?
Still last, but there we
Yeah,
go.
that's good.
Another big point scorer this week though for the underdogs. He was the only man to draft DJ Z for his team, and DJ Z became the X Division champion this week, winning an Ultimate X match on TNA Impact, the excellent TNA Impact as we mentioned earlier. So I guess you want to know who the star and the dummy of the week are this week.
Go on then, who's the star? We'll go star first.
Who got the extra 10 points? Well, I mentioned it earlier. SmackDown was a bit humdrum this week.
Yes.
Just a bit.
But the best
Jeez.
segment was actually in the ring. It was filmed, and they didn't put it on the TV show. They showed it on WWE.com. It was amazing. It was far better than the Heath Slater segment from last week, I thought, the one where we were introduced to his family at the Slater family home. This time, Heath Slater and his beautiful wife Beulah came to the ring with Uncle Rhino, as he's now known, Heath Slater's tag team partner, and Heath Slater's 7 kids. And they were amazing, his 7 kids.
You keep on saying Heath Slater.
Heath Slater,
It's
yes.
Heath
He's the hottest free
Slater.
agent in wrestling.
The hottest free agent in
Keep
sports
up, Mark.
entertainment. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
sorry, I keep on. It's that name. Sorry, carry on.
But yeah,
Rings a
7 kids. There was Roscoe. All his kids looked like Ed Sheeran. It was incredible. There was Roscoe, the eldest. And then there was, I'm trying to find the names here. There we are. Leroy and Ashley and John and Justin, the twins who were born 4 days apart. They were amazing. And then there was Brandy Lynn, who was like the sulky teenager. It was absolutely fantastic. Heath tried to get her to talk and she kicked him in the ankles. She was brilliant.
Nice.
And then the best one, young Mary Lou, when Heath Slater basically revealed to the audience that if he gets himself a contract by winning the tag team championships at Backlash this weekend and gets himself a SmackDown contract, he'll be able to finally get a tongue for young Mary Lou. Mary Lou has no tongue. And the crowd, the SmackDown crowd, quite brilliantly, started chanting, "Get the tongue." A big "Get the tongue" chant for poor Mary Lou.
Sounds a bit rude,
who
that, doesn't
she has no tongue. The girl has no tongue. She's mute.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Mark.
Sorry.
So there we are.
This
It
is a respectable
it was
show
a
running here.
fantastic segment. Rhino's reactions were hilarious. I would say long-suffering, but they've only been mates for 3 weeks. But it is like he's been Uncle Rhino for years, the way he's playing it. It's absolutely brilliant. I love Heath Slater. So much charisma. Really taking this gimmick and running with it. He is the star of the week. 10 bonus points if you drafted Heath Slater. And
So
I tell you what,
Heath Slater.
Yeah, Heath Slater.
Heath
and that's why
Slater's star of
Shaheen
the
is
week.
top.
Okay.
That's why Shaheen is
Wait,
top.
wait.
Because he has the star of the week in his team.
Go. What?
Sounds wonderful. Sounds like a magical segment for the ages.
Yes.
I didn't see it,
Well, that's because it was on WWE.com. It wasn't on TV.
so therefore it doesn't count.
Yeah, of course it counts.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't count. You've even said.
No, hang on a minute.
Has to
It
go on the
wasn't
main
on
show.
TV.
He said has to.
I call
to be on TV.
shenanigans.
No.
Yes, yes,
No,
yes, yes,
no,
yes, yes,
no,
yes.
No.
Oh,
What
look
I
at
have
this. Greg
said-
Lambert involved in shenanigans in wrestling.
Are
What a
you gonna-
surprise.
No, you're going to look silly.
This is
here.
disgraceful.
You're going to look silly. The main
Yeah,
points
we're
are
gonna look
scored.
silly.
You are. The main points are scored from the television shows, but the star of the week, anything counts with that. Doesn't have to have been on TV. It's just my decision.
So why wasn't Baron Corbin star of the week last week for doing something really funny on an airplane then?
Because that
I mean,
wasn't
Bo Dallas.
No, Bo Dallas, sorry.
Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he was a dummy of the week. But I did tell you he'd be back on TV and he'd be winning, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
he
I
won a
tell you?
squash
He won a-
match.
he did.
What
I told
the
you,
hell?
that's
I know,
how-
I was impressed.
That is how Vince's mind works. Someone gets drunk, you don't get fired. You get
And,
rewarded.
and as he left the ring, a fan shouted to him, "Bo, you're my Lion King."
This is after he sang the
no.
Lion King song on the plane. Yes,
Yeah.
I get that.
That's
So would you like
rubbish.
to know who the dummy of the week is?
No, because I'm still disputing the superstar of the week because it wasn't on TV.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, the dummy of the week.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
I
Of course it matters.
I just explained. Check the rules. Check the rules again. And you will
Liberty
see.
taking.
No, I'm sorry. Check the rules.
Shenanigans.
This week's
Orchestrating.
This week's dummy of the week.
Charlatan, Greg the douchebag Lambert.
Dummy of the week. I'm afraid to say, because I used to like this guy when he's in the WWE, but I was just not impressed this week with this guy. Drew Galloway turned on him the week before, brutally battered him at the end of the episode of Impact, and instead of coming out all guns blazing, looking for revenge like a tough babyface hero should, Aaron Rex ran to the ring to attack Drew Galloway with the campness of Alan Carr. So I'm very sorry. For that reason and that reason alone, Aaron Rex, you are my dummy of the week.
Dummy, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
You
5
can't-
points off for Aaron Rex.
you can't make someone dummy of the week because of the way they ran down to the ring.
I can. Why not? Did you see it though? He just comes out like this. Oh, hello. You know, all ready to attack. This is meant to be a personal issue.
I
Learn
didn't
how
see
to
it.
run in a masculine, machismo manner.
I didn't see it because I'd lost interest by that point because Matt Hardy wasn't on the screen. But you can't make someone dummy of the week.
All right,
because
I'll
the
give you
way
another reason then, if that's the case. He's not Damien Sandow anymore.
Well, yeah,
You know,
he's totally still Damien Sandow.
Well, he's not, though, is he? Damien Sandow was an intellectual wizard. He had the elbow of disdain, the greatest move ever, which didn't last very long, but it should have done. And then he was the Miz's stunt double, and he was incredibly entertaining. He goes to TNA, and he's just become generic.
And he's still going to be TNA World Champion at
It's
some point
typical
soon.
of TNA, generally speaking. If you go from WWE to TNA, you look at people like Mick Foley, like Christian,
Yep.
Hulk Hogan,
Bobby Lashley.
Lashley's getting better. I think Lashley's doing well at the moment.
But he was still a failed WWE.
Booker T. Well, I know he's not as big a star in TNA as he was in WWE yet. I'll give you that.
Lashley wasn't really that big in WWE. Vince wanted him to be big. He was
He
pushed.
was big. He headlined the highest grossing WrestleMania
Yeah, but
of
nobody-
all time in the hair versus hair match against Umaga with Donald Trump. It was.
I rest my case.
But it was, though. It was the highest grossing WrestleMania, and it was, to all intents and purposes, the main event of that show. It was the big draw. So that made Lashley a big star.
No,
Oh,
Vince wanted him to be a big star. He wanted him to be the top babyface of the company,
But the
and
point
nobody
is-
bought it. Nobody got behind him. That's why he ended up leaving. That's why he's now
And
in
he's
TNA.
performing better now in TNA. His promos are so much better. And I think he was instrumental in that really good episode of Impact this week. And the stuff that happened with Moose and Mike Bennett I thought was really good, a good piece of storytelling. But anyway, I digress. Aaron Rex, you're being too generic. You need to go back to being the intellectual wizard or the stunt double or do something entertaining, pal. You've got it in you. I'm just criticising you. It's for your own good.
Fair enough.
Here ends Fantasy Wrestling Report.
There we go. All the results are online. Go to the program schedule for 1-4 Facebook group. You'll see them all on there.
Indeed you will.
You will see them all on there. So we have received an email. Good sirs,
Okay.
we have received an email.
Cool.
Just one.
Anything to move us on from that debacle that
Yeah,
was
we
this
have
week's
to.
fantasy wrestling?
We have to. Got an email. Dear Greg, Mark and Lawrence.
Wait, who's Lawrence?
I think he means you.
Not again.
Here we go
It's
again.
Not
Greg,
again.
Mark and Lawrence, yeah.
Don't tell me.
What?
It's this guy who's been
It
writing
is,
it
yeah,
every
yeah,
week,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, same fella. I hope you're all having a good week. I listened to Mark and Lawrence's show this week and really enjoyed it. I don't like Jason's status, though. Lawrence should kick his head in. So this weekend, I was told that CM Punk was not going to wrestle in WWE anymore. What's going on? I've only just watched one of his matches last week against Dean Ambrose. I thought he had a chance to be Universal Champion. No idea.
What?
Genuinely no idea.
Okay.
Anyway, when I was listening to your show last week, I realised that Lawrence said something about Carmelo that was wrong. I once saw
He
someone.
certainly did.
I once saw someone who
I
looked
said
like
nothing that was wrong. Everything I say is perfectly accurate and above board.
No, but he said I once saw someone that looked like Bray Wyatt doing an impression of Bugs Bunny trying to fool Elmer Fudd in a promotion up in Hull. So
Okay.
that was a weird one.
Cool.
So I hope you're still thinking about me for your mascot. I would even wear a T-shirt with your face on it. Still here and still the hottest free agent in community radio, Keith Slater.
This is becoming borderline stalking. now.
Keith.
It is now, yeah. Keith, yeah.
You
Keith.
said Keith Slater.
We're gonna have to be
Yeah, it's
very,
Keith Slater, yeah.
When-
He signed it Keith Slater.
when we leave the bowling green later tonight. We're gonna have to keep our wits about us. You know,
Don't
Yeah.
give away where we are, Greg.
we could be any bowling green.
You're only going to attract him.
Oh, that's true. What have I done? Can we edit that out?
I know
It's
wrestling
live, mate.
attracts.
It's live.
I know wrestling attracts a certain kind of clientele in places, but jeez,
Can I just point out though?
that guy's a few sandwiches
We
short.
don't mention CM Punk on this show, and we don't mention what he's doing this weekend because it has nothing whatsoever to do with professional wrestling. Nothing.
You mean getting his face punched in the UFC on Saturday night? Is that
Don't
what you
mention
mean,
those
Greg?
three letters on this show.
So we'll be talking about CM Punk doing that next week.
No, we will not.
We will.
We will not.
We will.
Well, I won't be here then.
You will.
Because
Cool.
you should, because you know.
Sounds
if you,
good to
again,
me.
If you listen to last week's show, you know my feelings on this. You should keep mixed martial arts and professional wrestling completely separate.
Completely. There's got to be an extra syllable in there, surely.
He must be serious.
Yeah.
If you want to call the programme, this programme is scheduled for the Octagon, then that's fine. But it isn't. It's called this programme is scheduled
But
for
it would also make no
which means
sense.
wrestling.
The title would make no sense if that was the case.
So, we don't talk about it. Just like we don't talk about dressage.
Can we not talk about how he did?
No.
Why?
Because he's got nothing to do with wrestling.
But he does.
He used to be a wrestler. He walked out on us. He walked away. He abandoned us. He left us in the lurch. No, I'm sorry.
2 words for you.
What?
Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Yeah, he came back, though.
Well, he's doing both.
Yeah.
He wants to have his cake and eat it.
And he
That's
wants
fine.
like he can eat a
That's
lot
fine.
of cake.
We're like
I'm sure he
WWF
can.
in the 80s and the 90s. We don't acknowledge the other side.
But they did, though. WWE acknowledged Brock Lesnar's
No,
fight
in the 90s
UFC.
and the 80s when you just didn't acknowledge the existence of other promotions.
You mean like WWE refused to acknowledge TNA even exists?
Yes.
And when someone
they
goes
do
to
that.
TNA for a few years and they come back, they're like,
But
no,
that's
no,
not true,
they
though.
were just asleep.
It's not true, though, because if you watch the network, John Bradshaw Layfield interviewed Sting the other week, and they mentioned TNA. JBL brought it up during the interview. So that's,
What?
That's rubbish. He did. Yes, he did.
No.
He mentioned it. Yep.
I
Yep.
don't believe you.
It's true. It's true.
Nah.
It's true. And for those of you who don't watch wrestling and are wondering why the lead singer of The Police would be on a wrestling interview show, it's not that Sting.
Which is nice. Yeah. So you were talking before about TNA anyway.
Yeah, it was a
About
great
how
show
good it
this week. It was a really good show. I was really impressed with it. I think everything from top to bottom was excellent, particularly the opening with the Hardys sitting around a piano and singing Jeff Hardy's new theme tune, the one I couldn't remember last week. I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete. Obsolete.
That's
Brilliant.
the one.
It's gold. Absolute gold. Loved it. Like I said, really enjoyed the very nice basic storyline with Moose and Mike Bennett and Bobby Lashley. I'm pleased that they've realised very quickly that Moose should be a good guy because he's incapable of being a bad guy. Bad guys should not wander down the aisle, pump their fist in time to the crowd chanting their name.
No.
That is grandstanding. That is the kind of thing a good guy does. So I am pleased that they've realised that Moose is incapable of being a bad guy and they've made him a good guy. So that was good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the X Division Championship match. As I said before, I love the epic Maria Kanellis victory over Ali. And I love Bobby Lashley these days. He's just learned how to talk. And he's so cool. I love he's a great talker now.
Really?
He's very confident, yeah.
I've heard
when
more
you compare to how he used to be. I just like the fact
I've met more coherent 3-year-olds than Bobby Lashley.
he's very believable for me as this above-it-all super athlete who knows he's better than everybody else, and he's projecting that. And it's believable, and I think he's really carrying himself as the champion in a very acceptable manner.
Yeah.
And he's a winner, which is more than I can say for Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch needs to learn how to win matches.
And not have people turn on her all the time.
But she just never wins.
No, she doesn't.
Becky Lynch, she lost at WrestleMania.
And every allegiance she forms, the people turn on her.
Well, that's because she's a loser. She lost at WrestleMania. She lost at Battleground to Natalya. She lost at SummerSlam in the multi-woman match. And then, as I noticed from my fantasy wrestling notes, she's lost the last 2 weeks on TV. We need to help Becky Lynch. We need to help Becky learn to win again.
Okay.
I have a
Who
plan.
are you, Bob Backlund?
I have a plan. Yes. I guess for this, we're going to make Becky win again. That's
Okay.
what we're going to do.
All right.
He's been Trump.
What?
He's been Donald Trump. Make Becky great again.
He doesn't watch wrestling, Lewis.
No,
remember?
yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah,
that was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Was a genuine thing.
Yeah, but he won't realise that the Darren Young thing was a takeoff of that. So
Yeah.
he thinks he's being clever and he's just come up with something new and original. But he
No,
hasn't.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
All right, fine.
Anyway.
Are you just
Okay.
pointing out because you think I'm thick and don't realise that was a Donald Trump catchphrase?
No.
Or are you insulting the intelligence of the listeners by thinking they don't know that? Actually, they probably didn't know that. Anyway, I digress.
Becky Lynch needs to learn how to win again.
Yes,
is what
she
you're
does.
basically
This is
saying.
what I suggest. Number one, she cuts off all that lovely red hair. Because it's
Okay.
clearly, it must be getting in her eyes and it's distracting her and she's losing focus.
But that's her fire.
Yeah, what does that mean? She stopped doing that as well.
Okay.
This
She
thing
needs
where
to start doing that again
she
then,
needs
surely.
to stop doing this thing where she pauses halfway through the match, does a little bow and arrow sign, and goes straight fire. What does that mean? It means nothing.
I don't know.
It just means your opponent laughs at you and then beats you, Becky. You know, so shave all your hair off. Be like Sinead O'Connor. No one would pick a fight with her, let me tell you. It's the other thing that Becky Lynch needs
No
to
one
do.
will pick a fight with her as soon as she opens her mouth because Becky Lynch is quite attractive, and then she opens her
Yes.
mouth, and then she's not.
No, she's got a lovely accent. It's beautiful, but
I agree
that's
with-
part
I
of the
agree with
problem.
Greg,
She's
actually.
not.
I'm
going
she's
to
not,
win the match.
But she isn't. But she isn't. She just.
I hate you.
It's a lovely
You
accent.
made me lose again.
Stop
I
it.
can't believe it.
Stop it right now.
That's what she sounds
She
like.
sounds beautiful. I love
No.
her accent, but that's the problem. She's clearly not intimidating her opponent. So yes, she probably needs to lose the accent for that reason.
Just,
the other
just,
thing
just
she needs
shut
to
her
do,
mouth. Just keep it shut. Just don't make sounds with your mouth.
She needs to get. The other thing she needs to do, she needs to give that steam back to Apollo Crews.
Yeah, she needs to learn her share. I agree with you on this one. She needs to learn to share her steam. Okay,
'Cause she comes
Becky
out
Lynch
now.
is hogging all of the WWE steam supply.
You mean
And
for entrances, don't you, where the steam comes out on the stage?
Also, yes. Now she has a steampunk gimmick. Sure, okay. Steampunk, steam. We get it.
I told you not to
okay?
mention him.
Steampunk.
Yes.
Not CM
Oh,
Punk.
sorry, I misheard you.
So we get it. There's the steampunk connection there, right? But poor Apollo Crews, since he came from NXT, when he was in NXT, his entrance, he would do his pose thing on the entrance.
Can you see
way.
that on YouTube? You'll see it in 2 minutes.
He goes, okay, he does that, right? And jets of steam would shoot up from the stage. It would look, it made him look like powerful and
Yes,
steam-powered.
Yes.
Since he came to the main roster, they've taken his steam away.
He's losing a lot
So
as well.
well, he needs some steam.
Maybe they need to share it.
He's
like
run
you
out of
said.
steam.
clearly
he comes
have
out.
run out
He
of
does the
steam.
same. He does the same pose, but there's no steam, no pyros, no nothing. It looks stupid. Give him some steam back. Becky Lynch doesn't need as much steam as she uses. She's got all the steam, so much so that she often nearly falls off the stage or runs into the camera.
That's
It's ridiculous.
Right. I agree. So she needs to do that. And the last thing she needs to do is, I guess that she needs to marry Heath Slater, not Keith Slater. She needs to marry Heath Slater.
Keith Slater would love that.
Because obviously we saw her this week in the At Home with it. Well, you didn't see it, but we saw her in the Meet the Slaters segment that Heath has obviously had more than one wife in his life. Beulah is his present wife. He probably will move on to a new wife. And clearly, being a redhead himself and having a lot of redheaded children, if he joins forces with Becky Lynch, they can have a beautiful 8th Slater baby. Maybe they could call him Jack Gallagher, I don't know. And then, or Sheamus, and then, or Rupert Grint. And then, Becky will clearly, because Heath Slater's been winning, some of her new husband's winningness will rub off on Becky Lynch, and we will make Becky win again.
All right.
Are you feeling it?
Fair enough.
I don't care really.
I was going to say, you can't put redhead and redhead together and make ultra redhead.
You can.
Yeah, the super ginge, as it's known. I thought you were going to go into a limerick then for a minute, Greg. We had Haku's the other week, and then you had more than one wife in his life, and I seriously thought you were going to go, do a limerick, and I was somewhat disappointed. So, yeah.
You see what I was on about the other week? The disappointment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
his finishing
There you
move.
go. That is his finishing move.
Yeah.
Almost. Well, it's not quite his finishing move because we're not finished yet. We've got 10 minutes left. So, what else is on the agenda for tonight?
So we've got, not long left, we've got the local promotion going about at the moment. We've got AOW Wrestling.
Yep.
The Gold Rush is coming up on the 17th.
It's
Yep.
Golden Chance.
A week on Saturday.
You've got the name of the show wrong again.
Yeah, I meant to.
Golden Chance.
That's what I meant to.
It's
Oh, yeah, that's your thing. Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
live wrestling.
It's just like this weekend, it's Backslash, isn't it?
Yeah.
For WWE.
Dear.
You're looking forward to Slapback, are you, Matt?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Isn't that the delete key on the keyboard? I don't know. But anyway, yes, it's live wrestling at Morecambe Winter Gardens, Saturday, September the 17th. Starts about, I think the doors open about 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah.
Tickets still available from aowuk.com.
Studio Bronze on Queen Street.
Get a tan, get your ticket, and also
Or just
on
get
the
a
door.
ticket.
Or just get a ticket.
Reason I bring it up, there's
Yeah.
been some talk online, shall we say. Person who used to be at Morecambe quite a bit, who's no longer a Morecambe wrestler, El Ligero,
Yeah.
been online with, been doing some shows with PCW, and
Yes.
suddenly videos come up,
Yeah.
shall we say.
Yeah, I'm the commentator.
That
for
sounds
PCW.
awful,
Great,
doesn't it?
Great
Considering
promotion.
what we're about to
Yeah,
talk about.
great-
Yeah.
Of course, it
great
sounds
promotion.
awful.
So go on. What actually happened, Greg?
Sorry, what are you talking about?
The video online with El Ligero.
What video?
Was there not a video?
I'm not aware of this video.
Were you not commentating on a thing, the video on Facebook?
I don't think so.
Was there not a match that El Ligero
There was a
in
match.
that
There may
might
not
have
be a
been-
video.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so. I don't even want to say the words,
Go on.
the letters.
Go on.
PC Chuffin W,
Yes.
right, recently ran a show in Blackpool.
Mm-hmm.
That's Preston City Wrestling
Right.
in Blackpool.
Yeah, they're expanding. What of it?
Preston City Wrestling in Blackpool recently had a show, family-friendly show, where two of the competitors fought with an inflatable...
Johnson.
Yeah, male member, I was going to say.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
You've seen that, have you?
Everyone knows about it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the one I was talking about.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, so what of it?
What went on, mate?
What do you mean, what of it?
What's wrong with it?
It's a family show.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
Did you see the context of what happened?
It doesn't matter of the context.
Well,
no,
for
I
sta-
didn't. I'm not interested because...
Are you trying to say... What,
obvious
You're
reasons.
trying to say it's not acceptable?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
For wrestlers
if you're running
to use an inflatable object
absolutely.
as a weapon in a match.
If it's
For
genitalia,
entertainment purposes.
absolutely.
Well,
Little Timmy, right, doesn't want to see two men smacking each other around with genitalia.
with another
does
Timmy.
He? Okay?
there weren't that
with,
many...
with a Jimmy.
There weren't that,
right?
there weren't that many kids in the crowd. Anyway, listen, right.
But there weren't no kids in the crowd, okay? If you're gonna run 18 plus shows, you can do whatever you want. You can, ICW, Progress, adult only shows. You can have it, littered with swearing, hardcore matches, blood, intergender violence, which don't get me started on that one. But you can do that if that's what you want to do and if that's the audience you're pulling in. If you're selling tickets to kids, then you need to keep your show family friendly. And to just go online and go, oh, I can't really control what my wrestlers do on the shows. Of course, you're the booker. If you can't, who can? That's literally your job.
No, hang on a minute.
to control
Hang on,
what the
no.
wrestlers on your shows are doing.
Hang on just a minute. Let's just put this in context, right? First of all, the show was in Blackpool, the stag and hen capital of the UK. You walk down the seafront in Blackpool and you will see any number of these inflatables on sale and in the ready public view. Okay?
I saw
And what
phallic...
happened- You don't even know the context of what happened.
I've seen phallic lollies on sale in a shop on the seafront in Morecambe. But Alpha Omega Wrestling don't encourage the wrestlers to go smacking each other around the face with them.
You don't
they?
even know the
in front of
context.
children.
Let me explain. You haven't seen this properly, so you don't know the context.
I don't want
of
to
what
see
happened.
it.
You know the context of what happened in the match, right? What happened in the match was El Ligero was in a tag team match with Ricardo Rodriguez, teaming with Ricardo Rodriguez, the former personal ring announcer of Alberto Del Rio, against Martin Kirby and Joey Hayes. And during the match, El Ligero got tape wrapped around his eyes by Joey Hayes and Martin Kirby. El Ligero couldn't see what he was doing.
Right.
El Ligero wanders out into the audience and he's wandering around, and Hayes and Kirby opened the fire exit and ushered El Ligero out, still blindfolded, and the poor Mexican El Ligero could not find his way back into the venue, and he couldn't see what he was doing. He was clutching around in the dark, and he grabbed the first thing that he found.
The dark where?
I don't know.
Outside,
in the
on the
bowels of the
seafront?
building, possibly in the seafront. Maybe he bumped into a stag do. I don't know. He wanders back in with a pink cowboy hat, the kind of thing you see on these hen nights, an empty bottle of Lambrini, because clearly somebody had shoved it down him when he couldn't see what he was doing, because everybody knows as a Mexican he would have been drinking tequila if he'd been drinking anything. But anyway, he comes back in with this giant inflatable pink doodah. But he was blindfolded. He didn't know what he had. And he'd obviously had this drink forced down him, so he didn't know what he was doing. So he gets in the ring and starts swinging it around and hitting
The inflatable one you're talking
Martin
about.
Kirby and Joey Hayes in the face. And I don't actually believe that El Ligero was compos mentis while it happened. I was commentating. I didn't know it was going to happen. The promoter, Stephen Flood, didn't know it was going to happen for that very reason. So how dare you accuse him? He didn't know that it was going to...
He's accountable.
No, he's not accountable.
He's accountable.
He's not accountable.
He's in charge
He
of
has
the
nothing
show.
to be accountable
He's accountable.
For. He has nothing to be accountable for because El Ligero didn't know what he was doing. It was Blackpool. The kids all thought it was
Blackpool.
The kids thought it was a giant snake. There were no complaints. That's the end of it.
So, so if you run a family show in Glasgow, you can have wrestlers like shooting heroin and going, "Oh, it's Glasgow, it's fine."
A family show in Glasgow?
Well, yeah, it sounds far fetched, but
They do have families
by
in
the
Glasgow
same
as well.
logic, people have children there. So
I think
that's
people-
what passes for
listen,
entertainment in British wrestling, is it,
people
Greg?
should go to PrestonCityWrestling.com. They should go to the Facebook page, go to Facebook.com and,
Really?
and put Preston City Wrestling in the search engine, watch the video and decide for themselves. And while they're at it, they can sign up to Preston City Wrestling on demand and they can go to the show on September the 24th that we've got at Club Evoke with Zack Sabre Jr.